The 10 most shocking recent archaeological discoveries that shook the world. Welcome back to 10 Minutes Discovery, your go-to channel for uncovering the most fascinating mysteries of history and archaeology. Today, we're diving into a thrilling journey with an incredibly hot topic: 10 most shocking recent archaeological discoveries that shook the world. Have you ever wondered what secrets still lie hidden beneath layers of earth? Ancient ruins, unsolved historical mysteries, and long-lost civilizations are waiting to be uncovered every single day. And this isn't just distant speculation. Within just the past few years, archaeologists across the globe have made a series of groundbreaking discoveries that have astonished the scientific community and even reshaped how we view human history. In this video, I'll take you through mysterious and captivating stories of the latest archaeological findings, from ancient tombs filled with secrets to forgotten cities and artifacts that are transforming our understanding of ancient civilizations. And I'm curious, what civilization are you most fascinated by? Don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and chat with you. Now let's begin our journey into the world's most mind-blowing archaeological mysteries, right now. 6 skeletons found face down in a cliffside cave. On an island renowned for its powdery white sand and deep blue waters, where the sunlight stretches across the land like a golden ribbon all year round, you would never suspect a chilling mystery that's left the archaeological world baffled. This is Gran Canaria, a gem in the Atlantic Ocean, part of Spain's Canary Islands. Beneath the idyllic exterior of a resort paradise lies a dark, unresolved story. 6 male skeletons were found in a cave on a cliffside, all lying face down. Several of the bodies had their limbs bound, and some were even covered with rocks, as if they had been executed rather than buried with traditional rites. Spine-tingling, isn't it? It sounds like something straight out of an ancient horror novel, yet this is the reality uncovered by a team of archaeologists led by expert Veronica Alberto. What's even more perplexing, no one knows who they were, why they died in that position, or what happened to them all those centuries ago. All that remains are faint traces etched into the rock, waiting for science to decode them. From the very start of the excavation, the research team sensed something unusual. Unlike traditional burials, these bodies weren't laid flat in coffins or graves. They were pressed into the rocky ground, face down. In some cases, stones had been deliberately thrown over the bodies. Some even showed signs of being tightly bound. Strong evidence that these individuals hadn't been buried, but rather subjected to a violent, symbolic form of death. Archaeologist Veronica described it as a brutal death, far from natural causes or accidental tragedy. Could it have been a ritual punishment, or even a human sacrifice? That's exactly what the scientists are now trying to figure out. Another detail that piqued researchers' interest: all 6 skeletons were male, with notably strong muscular builds, especially in the arms. This raises the possibility that they were involved in intense physical activity, perhaps warriors, hunters, or members of a specialized labor group within their ancient society. But why did they meet such a fate? Were they victims of a purge, executed for betrayal, or simply offerings in a forgotten sacrificial rite? As the excavation continued, the team realized this site was unlike any burial ground they'd ever encountered. There were no grave goods, no organic materials, no tools or jewelry. Almost all clues had been lost to time. This made dating the remains incredibly difficult. For now, scientists must wait for radiocarbon dating results, one of the few methods still available that might unlock the timeline. So, were these men part of an indigenous population before Spain conquered the islands? Or did this event take place after the 15th century, during the era of European imperial expansion and the bloody clashes between civilizations? No one knows for sure. You might be wondering how a place as breathtaking as Gran Canaria, with famous beaches like the lively Playa del Inglés or the peaceful Puerto de Mogan, could harbor such eerie stories. That contrast is exactly what makes this discovery so haunting. The clash between modern tourist beauty and a terrifying past buried beneath the rocks is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Imagine standing on a scenic cliff overlooking the ocean, unaware that beneath your feet may lie an ancient tomb wrapped in an unsolved curse. And here's the most intriguing part: this is only the beginning. The archaeological site is still being expanded, and the research team hopes to uncover more clues: a shard of pottery, a trace of a campfire, or even an old leather strap. anything that might help piece together the fate of these 6 unfortunate individuals. Were they betrayed heroes, prisoners of a lost civilization, or simply the victims of a ritual no one remembers? The journey to uncover the past never truly ends, and this time it has brought us to the edge of a mystery that only grows deeper the more we dig. If you're passionate about archaeology and love connecting with the fragments of history, don't take your eyes off this strange investigation, because a major secret may soon be revealed, right here on this island paradise. The 42 child skeletons sacrificed during 15th century drought. A dark corner of human history has just been unearthed beneath the Templo Mayor, the ancient sacred religious center of the Aztec Empire. In a place once echoing with holy chants, archaeologists have discovered undeniable evidence of one of the most shocking mass child sacrifices in the archaeological history of the Americas. At least 42 children, aged between 2 and 7 years old, were offered in ritual sacrifice to the rain god Tlaloc in a desperate plea to end a devastating drought. This is no fading legend. It is real. Physical evidence uncovered, touched, and examined by archaeologists right at the heart of Tenochtitlan, known today as modern-day Mexico City. Hard to imagine, isn't it? A powerful city-state, rich in culture and steeped in faith, resorted to bloodshed in an effort to preserve life amid a climate catastrophe. According to research presented at the Water and Life Symposium at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, the remains found at the Templo Mayor were arranged with care. Each child was laid on their back, arms and legs gently folded, placed inside solid stone boxes on sandy ground, an indication that this was a meticulously planned ritual, not a hasty or random act. Some bodies still bore jewelry, gemstone necklaces, and even greenstone beads placed in their mouths. These were not mere offerings, but chosen with deep symbolic purpose. Children were seen as pure, and greenstone, representing water, was used to guide their souls to the divine realm to beg for life itself. But why children? That question chills anyone who hears it. In Aztec belief, Tlaloc, the god of rain, water, and agriculture, required persuasion through the sacrifice of the most innocent beings. They even believed that the crying of the children during the ritual was the most moving plea that could reach the gods, and a sign that the offering had been accepted. It's harrowing to hear, but if you put yourself in their shoes, you might begin to understand their desperate choices. Archaeologist Leonardo Lopez Lujan, who leads the Templo Mayor project, explains that the authorities initially tried to combat the drought by opening royal grain stores to feed the poor. But when those efforts failed, they turned to the divine for help. Many of the children, very likely sold by starving families, became the bridge between humans and the gods. What makes this even more haunting is that these gruesome details align with geological evidence and climate data from the Mexican Drought Atlas, which shows that central Mexico suffered a catastrophic drought between 1452 and 1454. Crops failed to sprout, corn didn't flower, and famine gripped all layers of society. During the reign of Moctezuma I, while the Templo Mayor was under construction, the drought not only destroyed the harvest, but also drove families to sell their children in exchange for food. It's hard to imagine the severity of such a crisis. Picture this. The drought strikes at the start of summer, halting all crop growth. Then an unusual frost hits in the fall, killing off whatever little was left. 2 back-to-back blows from nature wiped out entire harvests, and in utter desperation, the Aztecs turned to the most heartbreaking form of supplication they knew. In the ancient soil, researchers also found blue pigments, seashells, small birds, and volcanic stone statues buried with the bodies. All of these symbols point directly to Tlaloc, his face carved repeatedly, as if to emphasize, this was not a crime, but an offering. But did the gods hear their prayers? No one knows for sure what happened afterward. The sacred cloth found in a Greek royal tomb. Deep within an ancient hill in northern Greece, once the heart of the legendary Macedonian kingdom, archaeologists unearthed what seemed to be an ordinary faded piece of fabric, worn thin by the passage of time. But no one could have predicted that after nearly half a century buried in darkness, this piece of cloth might actually be the legendary purple cloak once worn by Alexander the Great, one of the most iconic figures in human history. If this proves true, we may be looking at one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 21st century. The fabric was originally discovered in 1977 at the Great Tumulus of Vergina, a royal burial site that has long been at the center of historical debate in ancient Greek archaeology. This is where several members of the Macedonian royal family were buried, including Philip III Aridaeus, Alexander's half-brother. At first, the cloth was believed to be merely a burial shroud for Aridaeus's bones, with no connection to Alexander himself. However, decades of research have completely reshaped that assumption. You might be wondering, why is the color purple so important in this story? In the ancient world, purple was the ultimate symbol of royal power. The dye was extracted from a rare sea snail called murex, and it took thousands of these creatures to produce even a small amount, making it incredibly expensive. Only kings and emperors like Alexander were permitted to wear purple-dyed garments. According to historical accounts by Ephippus of Olynthus, a contemporary of Alexander, the king was rarely seen without his purple cloak during public appearances or ceremonial events. It wasn't just clothing, it was a statement of authority. In a study published in the Journal of Field Archaeology, Dr. Antonis Bartsiokas of Democritus University of Thrace and his colleagues revisited the archaeological records of Royal Tomb II, the tomb that housed the golden chest containing Aridaeus's remains, along with various precious artifacts. Among them, they re-examined a long-overlooked piece of purple cloth made of extremely rare ancient cotton. The fabric was dyed purple, with a central white band believed to have been bleached using the mineral huntite. These features match remarkably well with descriptions of Alexander's cloak found in ancient texts. Even more intriguing, within that same tomb, an ancient fresco was discovered depicting Alexander hunting a lion, wearing a purple causia, a royal cap, adorned with a diadem, and dressed in a flowing purple cloak, his gaze as fierce as the beast he pursued. This image is no accident. The causia was a headpiece reserved only for royalty, and if the cloak in the painting is indeed the same one as the fabric found in the golden chest, then this might be the last surviving fragment of Alexander's sacred garment. Bartsiokas did not hesitate to call this textile the most precious object of antiquity, not just because of its archaeological value, but because it could represent a crucial missing link in identifying the tomb of Alexander himself, a mystery that continues to elude historians. Despite countless theories, ranging from Egypt and the Middle East to ancient Greece, no one has ever confirmed the location of his burial. But if the cloak he once wore has surfaced in Vergina, could it mean he once set foot here, or perhaps was even buried here? This remains one of the greatest unanswered questions. While we still lack definitive proof, this discovery has opened a new door in ongoing debates about Macedonian history, Alexander's legacy, and the deeper secrets of his dynasty. So what do you think? Could this ancient cloth really be the same cloak that once billowed behind Alexander the Great as he led his endless campaigns from Europe to India? Or is it merely a historical coincidence, an artifact of his time, but not his own? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who knows, maybe your perspective will be the key to unlocking a mystery buried for over 2,000 years. Entrance to a 16,000-year-old Ice Age cave discovered. One April morning, as the sun rose and light filtered through moss-covered trees, a team of archaeologists paused before a mysterious survey site near the town of Engen, in the Konstanz district of southern Germany. Little did they know that just beneath the seemingly lifeless sediment lay a gateway to the past, a cave entrance that once served as a shelter for our Ice Age ancestors nearly 16,000 years ago. And so began the remarkable story of a discovery long buried, now slowly coming back to light. This cave wasn't entirely unknown. Back in 1978, archaeologists first identified its existence after detonating a small opening in its ceiling to study when humans might have inhabited it. Beneath the layers of earth, they uncovered traces of life, remnants of hunter-gatherers who once called this place home. However, the ceiling was later sealed, and excavation was paused, left to wait for a more suitable time. And just like that, a great mystery was swallowed up by time and nature. It wasn't until 2021 that efforts resumed. Over the course of 6 weeks, experts from the University of Tübingen, led by Dr. Yvonne Tafelmeier, gathered significant new data. Yet one question remained unanswered. Where was the actual entrance to the cave? Although they were certain the site had been occupied during the Magdalenian period, a late phase of the Ice Age, the entrance itself remained completely blocked by sediment. Can you imagine? A doorway sealed off by time, as if nature itself were trying to protect its secrets just a little longer. Then, a turning point came in April 2024. This time, a team from the University of Heidelberg took over with a new approach. Instead of picking up shovels right away, they used modern imaging technology, similar to ground-penetrating radar, to scan the area and detect anomalies beneath the surface. The results were astonishing. They identified a 65 feet long void, marking the location of the ancient entrance. And on July 4th, after digging through several feet of compacted sediment, the long-hidden doorway finally revealed itself. But the archaeological treasure didn't end with the rediscovery of the entrance. As excavation progressed, the team uncovered an array of artifacts, stone tools, worked animal bones, and primitive objects crafted and used by humans thousands of years ago. Though they may appear crude, these items are invaluable clues, helping us piece together the story of survival, hunting, and daily life in a harsh, frozen world. Dr. Tafelmeyer described the find as exceptionally rare in Paleolithic research, and with good reason. It's not often that scientists have the chance to access such a well-preserved Ice Age dwelling and explore it with today's advanced technology. And what's even more exciting? The excavation isn't over. The team plans to return this year to expand the dig and uncover more secrets hidden within the rock. Who knows what might still be waiting? Ancient cave art, remnants of campfires, or even footprints, direct evidence of prehistoric humans once walking this very ground. This discovery has not only thrilled the scientific community, but also sparked the imagination of anyone who dreams of the past. Have you ever wondered if the ground beneath your feet hides stories lost to time? How many doors like this are still out there, silent and sealed, waiting to be found? And if one day you stood before an ancient cave, would you see just a patch of untouched land, or would you feel an unexpected connection to your ancestors? The oldest section of the Great Wall, uncovering a 3,000-year-old legacy beneath Shandong soil. Hidden for millennia beneath layers of alluvial red earth on the northern edge of Guangli village in Shandong province, an ancient segment of the Great Wall, nearly forgotten by time, has been unearthed by archaeologists, revealing a discovery that has stunned the academic community. The Great Wall did not begin with Emperor Qin Shi Huang, as many have long believed. In fact, the newly discovered section dates back over 300 years earlier than previously estimated, and may have originated as early as the late Western Zhou dynasty, around the 8th century BCE. This massive ancient structure, silent through the ages, now speaks for the first time, and its message is a powerful reminder that history still holds countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. A large-scale excavation, led by the Shandong Institute of Archaeology and Cultural Heritage, took place from mid-May to the end of December 2024. It marked a significant turning point, being the first proactive research campaign focused on this ancient wall segment in many years. The excavation covered an area of about 11,840 square feet, but the findings far exceeded expectations. Instead of mere scattered ruins, researchers discovered a nearly intact section of the Great Wall, the first known portion believed to have been built during the Qi state, a dominant force during the Eastern Zhou dynasty. Stretching more than 400 miles from Chongqing in the west to Qingdao in the east, this is the oldest and longest known segment of the entire Great Wall system. What shocked archaeologists wasn't just the size or location of the structure, but the precise dating methods and the modern approaches used in the investigation. Rather than relying solely on historical texts or conjecture, the research team employed a combination of advanced techniques, including artifact analysis, phytolith studies, soil sampling, and cutting-edge dating methods like optically stimulated luminescence, OSL, and carbon-14 isotope testing. These scientific techniques produced a near undeniable chronological map, demonstrating that the wall originated during the turbulent early spring and autumn period, a time when feudal lords relentlessly competed for power, land, and influence. The existence of the Qi State Wall, already recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, is more than a defensive strategy of an ancient nation. It was a declaration of sovereignty, a political boundary, and a symbol of power that the Qi rulers projected to their neighbors. These seemingly endless walls etched themselves onto the landscape of a time when life, death, warfare, and political ambition intersected daily. Originally about 33 feet wide at its Western Zhou era foundation, and later expanded to over 98 feet during the Warring States period, the Qi Wall was not just an architectural feat, it was evidence of a remarkable evolution in construction techniques and strategic military thinking from a now-lost dynasty. The construction's peak occurred under King Xuan of Qi, who ruled from 350 to 301 BCE. Under his leadership, the wall was upgraded with tightly compacted yellow earth, hammered down using metal tools, a sophisticated method remarkable for its time. But the marvel doesn't stop at the wall's structure. Within the layers of earth and stone that once shielded it, archaeologists uncovered remnants of an ancient settlement. Fragments of pottery, production tools, and even preserved food stores revealed a vibrant community that lived, worked, and protected one of the kingdom's most critical defensive lines. What has been unearthed is not merely the remains of a wall, but the physical memory of an entire civilization. Every compacted layer of soil, every broken shard of pottery, every trace of ash serves as silent testimony to a time when history was still being written. The discovery of this oldest known section of the Great Wall not only broadens our understanding of the wall's origins, but also offers a new perspective on the complex geopolitical landscape of ancient China, where power, conflict, and technological ingenuity merged to create one of humanity's greatest architectural achievements. And above all, it reminds us, the deeper we dig into the earth, the more layers of truth await to be revealed. The Forgotten Pharaoh's Tomb, a groundbreaking archaeological discovery. After a century of silence in the Valley of the Kings. Amid the scorching desert of ancient Egypt, beneath millennia-old sands that have long buried history, a pharaoh's tomb, once thought lost to time, has been uncovered, marking a major turning point in global archaeology. This revelation comes exactly 100 years after the last royal tomb was excavated in the Valley of the Kings. The tomb belongs to Thutmose II, a pharaoh who ruled Egypt over 3,500 years ago and was the husband of the famed Queen Hatshepsut. This discovery not only opens a new chapter in the exploration of the Nile civilization, but also breathes life into untold stories about a ruler whose reign remains shrouded in historical ambiguity. Located on the western side of the Valley of the Kings, a site once reserved for Egypt's greatest pharaohs, the tomb of Thutmose II was initially uncovered in October 2022. However, it wasn't until the excavation seasons of late 2024 and early 2025 that the team of archaeologists confirmed the tomb's owner after meticulously analyzing pottery fragments bearing his name. One of the most significant shards included a label indicating it once contained natron, a salt mixture used in mummification, pointing to a royal burial ceremony that once followed full Egyptian ritual protocol. What makes this discovery extraordinary is not just the identity of the pharaoh, but the unusual condition of the tomb itself. Unlike the nearly intact tomb of King Tutankhamun, discovered in 1922 and famously filled with gold, jewels, and an undisturbed mummy, Thutmose II's tomb was almost completely empty. No mummy, no funerary artifacts. According to expert analysis, the tomb was likely flooded shortly after the burial, forcing priests to relocate all valuables, and possibly even the pharaoh's remains, to another site for preservation. While the tomb lacks the expected grandeur of royal treasures or a golden sarcophagus, archaeologists emphasize it was not looted. All evidence suggests the relocation was carried out in an orderly, respectful, and deliberate manner, an exceedingly rare occurrence in the history of Egyptian tombs, many of which were plundered in antiquity. This intact, albeit emptied tomb offers more than just a glimpse into Egypt's past. It opens a door to a richer, more intricate narrative. One current hypothesis being investigated by archaeologists is that a second tomb may exist, still hidden somewhere in the Deir el-Bahari region or deeper beneath the desert, containing Thutmose II's mummy and royal treasures. Some experts speculate that a mummy found at Deir el-Bahari might belong to Thutmose II, but radiocarbon dating suggests it could be older than his reign, a detail that only thickens the veil of mystery surrounding his life and death. Despite being a pharaoh, Thutmose II remains one of the least understood figures in ancient Egyptian history. Surviving records are fragmented and sparse. Some scholars believe his reign lasted less than 5 years, while others argue he ruled longer and may have had a significant impact on the early governance of Queen Hatshepsut. The Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York estimates his rule spanned from approximately 1492 to 1479 BCE, a time when Egypt was evolving from a regional power in the Nile Delta into a formidable empire dominating all of Northeast Africa. Dr. Muhammad Ismail Khaled, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, has called this one of the most significant archaeological findings in recent years. Meanwhile, researchers like Professor Filip Taterka from the Polish Academy of Sciences regard the tomb as a rare opportunity to deepen our understanding of New Kingdom burial structures, royal rituals, and the spiritual beliefs of Egypt's Golden Age. At roughly 95 feet in length, with a burial chamber measuring about 17.4 by 17 by 11.2 feet, the dimensions may sound clinical on paper, but if you imagine that this was once the final resting place of a powerful king, the site of sacred mummification rites, a place swallowed by floodwaters and forgotten for 3 millennia, you begin to understand why the world is once again turning its eyes toward the Valley of the Kings. And perhaps this is only the beginning of a new wave of discoveries, where ancient secrets are finally awakening beneath the light of modern science. The 500-year-old shipwreck of Vasco da Gama? Located just about 1,640 feet from the town of Malindi and lying roughly 20 feet below the seabed, archaeologists have discovered the remains of an ancient ship, buried under coral and thyme. Decayed wooden planks, a cracked ship frame, and scattered artifacts such as copper ingots and ivory fragments, seemingly silent, are gradually telling a magnificent 16th century story. The story of Vasco da Gama, the famed Portuguese explorer, and his final, fateful voyage. If you've heard of Vasco da Gama, you probably know he was the first to open the sea route from Europe to India by rounding the Cape of Good Hope, an unprecedented maritime feat at the end of the 15th century. But few know that during his last voyage in 1524, he commanded a fleet of 20 ships, including one named São Jorge, and it is believed by researchers that this very shipwreck, recently found beneath the Indian Ocean after nearly 500 years underwater, could be the remains of São Jorge. This discovery is more than just an old shipwreck. It is a crucial piece of the puzzle in understanding early European maritime expansion into the East. Led by marine archaeologist Felipe Castro from the University of Coimbra in Portugal, the research team surveyed a coral reef stretching over 15.5 miles from Malindi to Ras Ngomeni. They excavated 2 trenches at the shipwreck site, recovering the bow and wooden framework, physical fragments allowing them to trace the past. Moreover, the presence of copper and ivory, common traded goods in the 16th century Indian Ocean trade network, strengthens the case that this was a Portuguese ship and possibly São Jorge. Imagine yourself as a diver, slowly descending into the ocean depths. Around you, colorful corals teem with life, but among them, glimpses of wooden beams and objects eroded by salt and time emerge. You realize you might be touching the very ship that once carried Vasco da Gama close to death, now lying silent beneath the waves as a solemn tomb of maritime history. That sacred yet thrilling feeling is what drives archaeologists to dedicate decades to this pursuit. And if you wonder why Vasco da Gama was near Kenya's coast, here's the answer. On his final voyage in 1524, King João III sent him to India to stabilize the increasingly unstable colony. After arriving in Goa, he didn't stay long, falling seriously ill, likely from malaria, and died just a few months later. Before his death, the São Jorge, one of his flagship escort vessels, sank near the East African coast, in what is now modern-day Kenya. Now, if archaeological evidence confirms the ship's identity, it would become the oldest known European shipwreck found in the Indian Ocean, a potentially groundbreaking discovery. Yet the search is far from over. Cesar Bida, an underwater archaeologist from the National Museum of Kenya, who first discovered the site in 2013, continues to collect artifacts and analyze samples. Kenya has even planned to turn the area into an underwater museum, where tourists can dive to witness living evidence of maritime history from the Age of Discovery. Although many questions remain, such as whether this wreck truly is São Jorge or simply one of the other Portuguese ships lost near Malindi, one thing is certain. What lies beneath Kenya's seabed sheds new light on a period of ambition, curiosity, and tragedy in human history. It stands as a testament to mankind's drive to expand the world and a reminder that behind every great voyage is a survival story. where humans confront the vast ocean to uncover the unknown. And who knows, next time you visit a Kenyan beach and watch the waves crash ashore, you might remember that somewhere beneath those waters, history is still whispering the tale of a man, a ship, and a journey that changed the world. Limestone sarcophagus, beneath the ancient church, the final mystery of Santa Claus, about to be revealed? A quiet morning in Demre, an ancient city in Antalya province, Turkey, suddenly came alive with the announcement of a groundbreaking archaeological discovery. A limestone sarcophagus buried deep beneath the grounds of St. Nicholas Church, believed to hold the remains of St. Nicholas himself, the real-life figure who inspired the modern-day Santa Claus. It sounds like a fairy tale mixed with mythology, but every piece of archaeological evidence is steadily bringing us closer to a historical truth that has been buried for thousands of years. Imagine standing among the cold, ancient stone walls, beneath which lies the earth that guards one of humanity's most legendary figures. Wouldn't you feel a chill down your spine? St. Nicholas Church is not only a sacred Christian pilgrimage site, but also the starting point of this dramatic discovery journey. Led by Associate Professor Ebru Fatma Findek from Hatay Mustafa Kemal University, the archaeological team, working under the Legacy of the Future project supported by Turkey's Ministry of Culture and Tourism, has traced historical clues for more than 35 years. Now, they have uncovered what previous generations only dared to imagine. A limestone sarcophagus approximately 6.5 feet long, buried about 6.5 feet underground in the two-story side chapel of the church. The sarcophagus is no ordinary tomb. Its raised lid and sloped roof, characteristic of regional architectural style, suggest it was not meant for a common person. Fragments of clay lamps and animal bones found nearby further support the theory that this was a ceremonial burial site, possibly for an important and even sacred figure. Do you feel excited thinking that every handful of soil, every shard of pottery beneath our feet could be telling a forgotten story centuries old? So, who exactly was St. Nicholas, and why did he become the model for Santa Claus? He was not the jolly old man in a red suit riding a reindeer delivering gifts on Christmas Eve as cartoons and ads portray. St. Nicholas was a 4th century bishop, renowned for his kindness and secret gift-giving to the poor, a beautiful image that has lived on in Western culture and evolved into today's Christmas icon. Nearly 20 years after his death, Eastern Roman Emperor Theodosius II ordered a church to be built at his burial site in his honor. This is the very church where the sarcophagus was found. But the story doesn't end there. Throughout Europe's turbulent history, St. Nicholas's remains were believed to have been relocated. In the 11th century, many sources confirm that his relics were taken to Bari in southern Italy, where they have been preserved in a grand basilica. Another portion is said to have been brought to Venice during the Crusades, kept at the San Niccolò al Lido monastery. Interestingly, in 1953, researchers examined bone fragments from both locations and found they might belong to the same person. However, science has yet to prove conclusively that this individual was indeed St. Nicholas. So what makes the Demre discovery so special? The answer lies in the potential to find the original evidence at what is believed to be St. Nicholas's original burial site. Archaeologists are searching for inscriptions, related artifacts, and precise dating methods to verify the remains' identity. If successful, this find could change how we view a global legend, and even confirm the existence of a cultural icon long thought to be part fact, part myth. The gold-filled tomb of a Thracian warrior. Have you ever imagined being able to touch a piece of ancient history? A treasure hidden deep beneath the earth. A lavishly buried tomb filled with gold, silver, weapons, and even the remains of a horse. This is no legend, but a real discovery that has stunned the world. Specifically, in the village of Kapitan Petko Vojvoda, near the town of Topolovgrad, Bulgaria, an archaeological team led by Dr. Daniela Agre uncovered one of the richest and most mysterious tombs belonging to a Thracian warrior. The story began with extensive excavations, but as early as the second day, the earth opened up to reveal a part of the past thought to be lost forever. A pure gold necklace, an intricately crafted golden crown, gold rings, jeweled daggers, and even a hunting knife with a handle shaped like a hunting dog's head. A sacred symbol among noble hunters. What makes this discovery even more extraordinary is that all these items were not scattered but buried right alongside the warrior's skeleton, complete with a breastplate and battle weapons. But that's not all. Nearby lay the remains of a warhorse, proving that the deceased was not just a warrior but a cavalryman, an elite member of Thracian nobility. In an era when warriors were not only soldiers but symbols of power and prestige, the Thracians were renowned across the Balkans for their unique fighting style and courage. They lived in what is now Bulgaria, Romania, northern Greece, and parts of Turkey. Although not as widely known as the Romans or Greeks, the Thracians were a key link in shaping the military landscape of the ancient world. Thracian cavalrymen are often depicted in carvings as hunters with loyal hunting dogs, wielding swords or spears aimed directly at wild boars, deer, or even lions. More than just warriors, they were living symbols of bravery, mastery over nature, and tribal protection. Do you feel the excitement? Because every artifact in this tomb is more than just jewelry. It's a historical message. Clues revealing the close relationship between this warrior and the ruling class of his time. The exquisite items, like the jeweled hunting knife and the hunting dog motif, not only prove wealth, but also reflect a noble lifestyle where hunting was not merely survival, but a ritual honoring the qualities of a cavalryman. You might be wondering, why is this tomb so important? Simply put, it opens a rare window into an underground world that once belonged to a class almost erased from history. The burial of a Thracian warrior with such treasures indicates he was not only a military figure, but also a cultural, religious, and political symbol of his era. After excavation is complete, the entire treasure will be transferred to the Topolovgrad History Museum for display and further study. But for archaeologists, the true value lies not just in the gold and silver, but in the story. A story of a warrior, a real person who once lived, fought, and was honored so highly that even in death, he was buried with his weapons, warhorse, and treasures to continue his journey beyond life. What about you? If you had the chance to visit Kapitan Petko Voivoda, would you dare to stand before the treasure's resting place, imagining the thunder of hooves and the proud image of a warrior departing this world? The 100 unopened antique champagne bottles found at the bottom of the sea. During a routine dive off the coast of Sweden, about 23 miles south of the Åland Islands, a Polish diving team from Baltic Tech made an extraordinary discovery using advanced sonar technology, a rare ancient shipwreck. Unlike many forgotten wooden wrecks, this ship was almost perfectly preserved. And what has archaeologists and history enthusiasts buzzing is the mysterious treasure it holds inside: approximately 100 bottles of champagne, 100 bottles of mineral water, and some antique ceramics. It sounds like a story straight out of an adventure novel, but it's entirely true. Can you imagine a ship carrying high-quality champagne and precious mineral water lying silently on the ocean floor for more than 170 years, only now finally coming to light? According to Tomasz Staszura, the dive team leader with over 40 years of experience, this is a once-in-a-lifetime find. Sometimes I find 1 or 2 bottles of wine, but a shipwreck with this much cargo? That's never happened before, he shared excitedly. So how do experts determine the age of the ship and its special cargo? The secret lies in the clay bottles containing mineral water, which bear clear markings showing they come from Selters, a famous 19th century German mineral water brand. Based on the design and stamps on the bottles, specialists dated the shipment to sometime between 1850 and 1867. Interestingly, at that time, mineral water wasn't just a beverage. It was considered a luxury medicinal product, served only at royal banquets and even escorted by police during transport. From this, a theory emerged. Could this ship have been headed to Stockholm or even St. Petersburg to serve Tsar Nicholas I of Russia? Historical records note that the Tsar lost a ship in this region in 1852. If this theory holds true, these champagne and mineral water bottles may have been prepared to grace the table of one of Europe's most powerful figures at the time. Another fascinating detail is the accompanying ceramics, which might provide further clues about the ship's exact route and origin, a missing piece in the historical puzzle that's gradually being revealed. However, salvaging and examining these antique champagne bottles isn't as simple as it sounds. Baltic Tech reported the find to Swedish authorities, but legal procedures and administrative requirements have complicated direct access to the cargo. They've been down there for 170 years, So let them stay one more year while we prepare thoroughly, Stashura said with a smile, reflecting the patience of a seasoned diver who has faced thousands of mysteries beneath the sea. The most frequently asked question now is, are these champagne bottles still drinkable? Lita Bester, director of the London Wine Academy, says the answer depends entirely on the original quality of the wine, storage conditions, and the integrity of the corks. If these are vintage champagnes of high quality, some bottles might still retain their flavors. But if they are non-vintage, wines not made for long-term aging, they could be little more than tasteless liquid. Still, even if undrinkable, their archaeological and cultural value is priceless. Imagine holding a bottle of champagne that may once have been sent to the Russian royal court, naturally chilled for over a century beneath the deep sea. Not just a drink, but a piece of time, a living breath of history surviving to this day. Bester also emphasizes that testing samples in controlled environments is essential to ensure safety, and even if the wine is still good, each bottle would carry a unique flavor shaped by time, pressure, temperature, and the ocean's mysteries. If one day we get to uncork one of these bottles, will its taste evoke war, royalty, or simply the sweet flavor of a bygone era? What about you? If given the chance, would you dare to try a sip of champagne that has slept quietly beneath the sea for more than 170 years? So, we've just explored 15 of the latest archaeological discoveries that have shaken the world, vivid evidence of humanity's rich and mysterious history. Which discovery impressed you the most? Don't forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next archaeological adventures. Thank you all for joining me, and see you in the next video.